I'm on my way to work. I've been driving for a while, but then I thought I would just kind of pop on here and say hello. Today is June 4th, and today is the actual date of my 25-year anniversary with the company. I don't expect them to do anything, you know, my whole team is in Delaware, so it's not like there's really anything they can do. So it's just another day, but for me, I know that it's my 25-year anniversary, so sorry, I have to adjust myself. Got kind of a backache today. I don't really know why. I think I must have just slept wrong. I did wake up kind of twisted in the middle of the night. We had some pretty severe thunderstorms where luckily where I am, we mainly got high winds and heavy rain, but the winds weren't so heavy or so, what do I want to say, strong. Like this morning on the news, they were showing the damage all over town. And I'm kind of wondering if the building, when I get down here, is going to have electricity. Well, it will have electricity, but I wonder if it's going to be the backup generator. Because I live out south, where I work is way north, and they got the brunt of the thunderstorms last night. And like this morning, they were showing, you know, houses with trees on top of them, and just all kinds of damage. And the building I work in is right in the area they were showing all this stuff, so I hope all the trees and everything aren't like down. We've got around the building, there's a bunch of Bradford pears, and those are kind of a weak tree in my opinion. Well, and my dad would tell you that too. My dad he's retired, but he was a tree trimmer from the time I think he got out of the military on. But and he's always said they're kind of a weak tree. They're a beautiful tree. They're kind of self-shaping, but high winds and hail and things like that really affect them. And so it seems like every time we have a bad storm, I'll go up here and you see, you know, more branches out, and there's a lot of those trees there. And throughout the years, we've lost several. And our neighbors even had one that hail destroyed, and they took it out and they put another one right back in its place. But they are pretty, but if you live somewhere prone to high winds or thunderstorms, I don't know, I might think twice about getting them. But anyway, I hope there's not a lot of damage at the building, because it's really actually a nice campus. When I first started working for the company, we were downtown, and there was no, like, if you wanted to walk somewhere, you had to walk downtown, which at least in my city, and I think in a lot of larger cities, means you deal with, there's homeless people on the streets, and you never know which ones are real and which ones are making a career out of it. There was a big news story several years ago about this one guy who was down there all the time, who actually lived in this huge house. He was not homeless at all. That's just panhandling was what he did for a living. And he made a lot of money doing it, at least till that news story came out. And then, like, one time I saw, used to be a guy down there who was in a wheelchair, and he would sit in front of the drugstore and with like a styrofoam cup, and he'd like shake the cup, and I used to put change in it when I had some, because when I first started working at the bank, I was like really young. I didn't have a lot of money to be giving away to people, but I would give him my change when I could. And then one day it was raining, and I saw him running, pushing that wheelchair, and that was that. I don't ever give money to homeless people anymore. It was him. The story about this, I think the guy's name was like Jerry Mazer or something. And then there was another guy who, a long time ago, McDonald's they were running a special where you could, I think they still do it. You just have to ask for it, where they do like the value meals that came with the 2 cheeseburgers. Well, I only ate one of my cheeseburgers, so this other guy, I gave him my cheeseburger, and he threw it in my face and called me a bitch and said he wanted money. And so it was like, okay, the naive person that's going to give money to people on the streets is done, and I don't do it. And so instead, I'll donate my money to places that help the people, that aren't going to go out just handing it out on the street. And I don't know, I just was working downtown. I hated that part. It got to be where, and Charlotte and I worked together at that time, and we would walk different places for lunch, and you get harassed and on the way. And I used to also ride the metro, the bus, to get back and forth when the bus was downtown. And before my husband and I moved out to this town we're in now, where there's not a bus service, but just waiting at that bus stop, you'd get some pretty scary characters. But so when the building back in 1999, they got out of downtown and they moved further north, which is a little bit farther of a drive, but not much, not enough where I'm not happier, for the benefit of being in a building that's actually on its own campus. It's not by downtown. If you want to drive somewhere for lunch, there's a lot of places around. Or if you just, like I've been going in the early morning, I've been trying to still keep up with my walking, and I do get 2 breaks a day, so I walk. And the day before yesterday, I actually saw a deer when I was out walking. I heard all this rustling in the leaves of the trees, and I was kind of scared, but it was a deer. And you see bunny rabbits, or mostly birds, but it's part of it's sad because the building has 4 parking lots. Only one of them gets used now. Well, 2. No, okay. There's 5 parking lots. And 3 get used. 1 is for the businesses that are downstairs that I can't see. I have no access to them or anything. They have their own parking lot. Then there's the parking lot. Then there's another parking lot that's completely empty. Nobody ever parks in it. Then there's another one that usually has about 3 or 4 cars, because it's just people who are choosing to park on the back side of the building, I think, to protect their cars and stuff. And then there's a visitor parking lot, which almost is always empty. Usually it's I don't even know who parks there. And then where I park is kind of close to this, what we call the security entrance, and that's where most everybody parks. But so as you're walking around this building, there's no cars or anything, which on the one hand, that's really peaceful. On the other hand, you're thinking about how many people were in that building and at one time, the bank owned the building, and I'm glad they don't own it anymore. They sold it off because they didn't really want to be in the real estate business, and they didn't really own any other buildings. Why they chose to own that one, I don't know, but when they first bought it and they put a bunch of things in the building, it was just us occupying it. And there was like a big ribbon cutting ceremony with the mayor there, and we had a cafeteria, and each floor had 5 break rooms, bunches of conference rooms, and it was just full. That building was full. And the thing that really bites is inside the building there's this big wall, and I pass it every day. I can't avoid it. And they have all the articles, the newspaper articles about all the jobs that were brought in and or created, and I don't know. I think they should take those articles down. I really do. And there's awards up there because we do a lot of volunteer activities, so we've won a lot of volunteer service awards just in the Kansas City area. The bank as a whole does a lot of volunteering. All that stuff's there, and it's so you see pictures of people that used to be there, but they need to take all that down. But they closed the cafeteria years ago because, one, they were way overpriced, so people stopped going there. They charged by the ounce for a salad, and which is fine because that's what grocery stores and stuff do, but it wasn't like a grocery store. You can go to a grocery store and you could get a lot cheaper of a salad than you could in our cafeteria. Their prices were ridiculous. And it's like you were going out to dinner at a nice restaurant. So, a lot of people would just go down there and get coffee or, maybe something small. So it just wasn't able to be sustained. And then you know, as people started leaving, you know, as they started moving, they, you know, they would call it consolidating. You know, like if there were several locations with something, they would consolidate it into one location. And for some reason, it was never ours. You know, you'd think in the Midwest the rent is cheap, and we had this nice building. I mean, this building even has really sophisticated backup power systems, and I don't know. I don't get it. I think it's all politics. I really do. Because it seems like, you know, where the higher ups were, sometimes that would tend to be where the jobs gravitated to. So, I don't know. You know, all that's just guess on my part, but kind of an educated guess. So, but anyway, the building itself, you know, it's a nice location, so I can go out and walk. I don't have to worry about being harassed by anybody. They have picnic tables, so at lunch I can go sit at a picnic table. There's, if you drive, I only take a half an hour for lunch, so I don't really drive anywhere, but if I used to take an hour, and in that time I could drive to like Target and shop around if I wanted, and you know, there's Target, it's like the only place I know of where there's a Kmart. There's Kmart. There used to be a little strip mall that Charlotte and I used to frequent, but they closed. They're turning it into like an outdoor mall, but so far all they've done is tear the building down. So I don't know if they changed their mind or what, but it's getting, you know, this is my second week driving down here, and it is what it is. I mean, my husband mentioned this morning how he misses just kind of laying in bed in the mornings and watching the news, because I have to be up and getting ready. Although today I did get to sleep later because yesterday was my youngest son's last day of school. So for the summer I can sleep in because I don't have to worry about getting him up. If I could trust him to get him, he has an alarm and he sets it. Most of the time it works, you know, where he gets up with it. But there have been several days where he just turns it off and he doesn't get up. And if I was still sleeping, then there'd be a problem, you know, because he'd miss the bus and all that fun stuff. But, so yeah, he's out for the summer. My older son, of course, you know, if you've watched my videos at all, you know he graduated. He actually has been doing really good with his driving lessons. My husband's been taking him each night, and they've actually driven, I don't know, whatever the right grammatical word is. They have gone to the college that he'll be attending, so he can get comfortable with those roads. And that's also where they've been practicing parking, because there's huge lots there. And the first day, you know, he's been on a few driving lessons before, but he hasn't tried to park yet. And my husband said he was like in 2 spots, and you know, all that stuff that you are learning. And like when he first started to like steer around corners, you thought it was like a video game where you just kind of barely move the wheel. Didn't realize you got to really turn that sucker. So my husband had to grab the wheel, but the second time he did, you know, much better, and you know, as each other time has done better and better and better. So, and he's feeling a lot more confident. You know, he comes back really happy, and last night he was like, it actually is kind of relaxing driving out there. So I was really worried, you know, I don't want him to be an inexperienced driver having to drive to college every day. You know, I would worry about him being in an accident or something. So my husband's been going with him every day as he starts college in mid-August. And so, you know, going every day for a few months. And then when we go to the lake, down to the Ozarks, there's some really hilly roads and stuff, so we'll let him get some practice on those. And my husband's gonna take him in rain and, you know, all different kinds of conditions. We haven't been able to, even though it's been raining quite a bit, it's always been like really late at night. Like last night, the thunderstorms that came through at my house came through at 3 in the morning, so I'm not gonna go wake him up to go driving in that. But there'll be plenty more chances for that. So, trying to think of anything else. I haven't been looming so much. I did do like 25 rows on the Addy for a scarf. But you know, now that the weather's getting warmer and everything, I've been more wanting to read, like sit outside and read. I don't know if you know that Divergent, that movie that came out. It's either Divergent or Divergent, I don't know. But that's actually a series of 3 books, and I don't even remember where I heard it from, but I'd heard that they were really good books, so I bought that series on Kindle, and I just finished the first book yesterday, and it is very good. And I think it's geared towards young adult, but it doesn't feel like, it just feels like anybody could read it. I don't think I'd let like a real small child read them, but they're really good. I just started the second one, so I've just been a little bit more towards sitting outside, trying to enjoy the weather, and you know, because right now it's not to the point where it's super hot yet. There have been some days where it's gotten really pretty humid, but if you sit in the shade, it's not so bad. I just want to enjoy it before the 100-degree temperatures come, because in Missouri it does, you know, it gets in, you know, over 100, super humid, really, really hot, you know, where it's not really that pleasant to sit outside. So I've just been trying to soak that up. And we have a hammock, and especially with driving down to this darn building, so much of my time's sucked up in a commute now. Oh, the person in front of me is washing their windshield, so it got all over mine. Which is fine, whatever. I mean, I know people don't do that on purpose. I actually try to, if I wash my windshield, I try to do it when I'm sitting at a light or something. Unless, you know, if you live somewhere where it snows and in the winter, your car's all disgusting anyway, but, you know, all that kick up from the tires in front of you, you have to repeatedly wash your windshield as you're driving. But on a nice day, when there's nothing that really should be messing up your windshield, I wait till I'm at a light or somewhere where the spray won't get all over the car behind me. Unless it's like a really fancy sports car that thinks he should be driving up your butt, then I might feel like my windshield needs to be washed. You know, they usually will back up off your butt then. That's kind of evil, but fun. But for the most part, I try to be courteous of others. But somebody driving up your butt isn't being courteous to you, so I'm getting close to work. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is if, say for example, I was with a big team and there was some kind of a weather issue that shut the building down, I would get a phone call that would tell me. I don't think I would get one now, because how would they know? They wouldn't. You know, like in the real bad winters, there was a couple times that they just told us don't come in. You know, they didn't want people to risk driving in the snow and hurting themselves, which is a big departure from when I first started working for the bank 25 years ago. Man, they wanted you there no matter what. And if you weren't, you know, it got counted against you and all that. Well, I guess as times have gone on, they've realized the error of their ways. I don't know. So for the past several years, there's an ambulance, but he's on the highway. I was wondering if he was behind me for a minute. But, you know, now they've got this whole system that calls you and stuff, but I don't think it would call me. But, so I'm pulling in to where the building is. Aww, one of the Bradford pears, it's on its side. Lots of little, you know how there's like the little tiny branches with leaves on them? Those are few on the grass. It's the only tree that looks like it was down though. It didn't look bad. I won't know till I get in the building if the lights, well, the lights will be on. They've got the backup generators. That's one thing we never had to worry about. But at least from what I'm seeing, it's just that one tree and just a lot of little tiny branches around. You know, I was gonna try and see if I could carry my phone around and and just show you, you know, how empty it is. We're not allowed to have phones in the business areas, you know, like by where computers are, because they don't want people taking pictures of customer information, and you know, which I would never do, obviously, but well, not obvious, you don't know that I would never do that, but I would never do that. So, but the rest of the building, there's no computers and stuff, so it should be safe, other than I'll feel like a big dork. But I might try to carry my phone around and just take a few pictures and show you, or if while I'm walking today, maybe show you. But it's really kind of a pretty property. Not so pretty on the inside. It's really pretty industrial on the inside, but so anyway, that blocked the sun a little. I'm gonna let you go because I gotta get in there and get to work. I'm still 15 minutes early, but I still want to put my sunshade up in my car and get in there and set up. But I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.